And I am an 80-year-old white woman who's very interested in this topic that you all are raising, and I'm learning a lot. And I guess my first question, my main question right now has to do with what what place do I have on this platform?
What's up, everyone? My name is Walt, and if you're a day one listener, welcome back. And if you're a first time listener, thank you for joining us today. This is BossLocks, a show where we are redefining professionalism as we speak to black leaders with natural hair to learn about their personal and natural hair journey as well as their experiences working while black. Now, a few weeks ago, I got a really interesting voice message from someone in the BossLocks community, and instead of replying directly to them, I wanted to take this opportunity to share my thoughts um, right here with all of you. But before I do, I want to invite you all to join me in the BossLocks Village. It's a official Patreon community where you can join for as little as $2 a month, and it's a direct way to support myself and this show. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Here's the full voice message from Jill.
Oh, it started. Okay. So, hi. Hi, Walter, and hi, everybody. This is Jill Stevens out in California. And I am an 80-year-old white woman who's very interested in this topic that you all are raising, and I'm learning a lot. And I guess my first question, my main question right now has to do with what is the appropriate place for me in this podcast, in this discussion. Um, I would like to be able to share this with my friends, my white friends, and everybody in my circle. I just want to know what your view is on what's appropriate for me. What 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 place do I have on this platform? Thanks so much. Thanks for thinking about it.
Wow. Now, before I directly respond to Jill's question, I just want to say two things, and it'll make more sense as I go on. But I consider myself a black citizen of the world, and I personally use the words white and black freely because I do see color. I see in full, vivid, rich, eccentric, vibrant, and beautiful color, and I'd like to encourage everyone to see what I see. Secondly, I really appreciated getting this voice message for a number of reasons. But for starters, it gave me a chance to reflect on the reason why I wanted to start this podcast. You see, I didn't start the show to become famous or making millions of dollars. Not saying do not want those things, but that's not why I started it. My mission is, and forever will be a place to, or a way to make this world an equitable place by empowering the black community. And I'm focusing on natural hair, not just because I have locks, but I'm focused on natural hair because it's a huge part of the black experience. And I'm not going to let us be held back because of how we choose to grow, groom, or style our hair. And as I'm growing this platform, I do it specifically with black people in mind, but that doesn't mean that other people aren't invited. It's just going to look a little bit different. You see, this podcast is open for all, and the conversations I'm curating need to be heard by everyone, but I do curate private spaces exclusively for black people because we need to have these hard conversations with each other. And I'm not just talking about, like a everybody love everybody, kumbaya type of thing. There are a lot of very tough conversations that I'm honestly a little nervous to host, but they have to be had if we want to advance as people, advance as a culture. And we honestly can't have white people in some of these spaces because it will become a distraction or prevent people from feeling comfortable enough to speak freely. Because if I'm being honest, we as black people have what it takes to begin creating establishments and systems to put ourselves on, but we first have to we have to kind of check ourselves and hold each other accountable. But you see, it's not only do we have what it takes, we're already doing it. Part of the reason I started this show is because I couldn't name a single well known black CEO who had locks and didn't start off in entertainment. Not only that, Damon John, founder of Fubu, was the only celebrity black CEO I knew of who didn't start off on TV or like in music as an athlete, basically in entertainment. But um, that's not okay, because if our only black leaders started off as entertainers, that teaches us that we can only make it out of our situation. We can only be respected. We can only provide value if we are entertainers as well. Furthermore, for many, that leads us to think that white people are better at certain careers, skills, or just more trustworthy or valuable. But ever since I came to the realization that I couldn't name any famous black CEOs other than my favorite rappers and athletes that became business leaders, I've realized that there are black leaders all around the world who have been putting in the work to make this a more equitable place. Last year, 19 black families came together to buy 97 acres of land right here in Georgia. I'm going to say that again. 19 black families came together in the middle of a pandemic to buy 90 acres of land, 90 plus acres. Now, I'm not saying we don't need or want anyone else's help, because there are still a lot of things out of our control. And we will need help to bring about those changes. And that's honestly where I'm looking for white members of this global community to show up. Now I'm going to replay a clip from Joe's message to kind of refresh the room again.
What is the appropriate place for me in this podcast, in this discussion? Um, I would like to be able to share this with my friends, my white friends, and everybody in my circle. I just want to know what your view is on what's appropriate for me. What 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 place do I have on this platform?
What is the appropriate place for a white person on the BossLocks platform? Well, Jill, for starters, I love the way you asked that question, because a lot of people assume that just because they're not a typical racist, that they automatically belong in certain spaces. I've observed white allies try to take over space that was never meant for them, and we as a black community have a habit of letting them. But here's the thing: you do have a place within this community, this podcast, and this platform. One specific place actually is in the Patreon community I often reference, called the BossLocks Village. And I named it that in honor of my mom. One thing that she's always said is that it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to truly build something that lasts. And I believe that it will take a global village involving everyone to create an equitable world. Now, I've been on my little soapbox for a while, so let me take some time to get to a more specific answer for you. Jill, as a member of this community, I'd like to invite you and every other member of the community who isn't black to do the following. So take notes if you haven't just yet. Um, I want you to come as you are. First and foremost, come as you are, with whatever prior knowledge you may have, as little or as abundant as it is. Come as you are. Listen to the show. And once you finish listening, this is the part that's really important. I want you to go back and listen again. And I'm not saying this to be rude, funny, or anything like that. Um, but I think a lot of even people we consider white allies, they make the mistake of acting as though they already have all the answers. Even if you take a look at some of our racist leaders, a lot of them think they're doing good work for the black community, when instead they are causing harm that could be avoided if they respected us enough to sit down and listen. And this isn't just a white thing, by the way. Nobody has all of the answers. This is a true communal effort, but the impact white people have on black lives is dangerous. Now, Jill, besides listening, I actually do have a challenge for you, and this is an open challenge to everyone listening right now. But before I get to that challenge, I want to explain a little bit more about the importance of listening. There's a show that has been on since about like 1964. I believe it's 1964, which is actually kind of funny because that's the same year the Civil Rights Act was signed. Y'all could fact check for me and let me know. But anyways, this show has been an American classic for decades. It's a show where the mightiest come together to compete for the grand prize using their experience, wit, and superior knowledge to become victorious. But you know, some would probably say that this show is an American staple. Anyone want to take a guess at what it is? Anyone? All right, let me give you a hint. Do 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 do. Do, do. That's right. I'm talking about Jeopardy. Rest in peace to Alex Trebek. Now I know what you may be thinking. Yo, why are you talking about America's favorite quiz show? Well, I'm bringing it up because America's favorite pastime hasn't always been a place for Black people. Yes, there have been several Black people who have won. For example, Matt Jackson, who went on a 13-game win streak. But Jeopardy is a reflection of white culture. If the questions were flipped to represent black culture, I doubt there would be more than five white people who could win, and that is a stretch. Probably involves some cheating and stuff. But anyways, the point is, like it'd actually be kind of interesting. Like, I think we could go down the Jeopardy rabbit hole, which we may do in some time in the near future. So look out for that. But, anyways, the point I'm making is that the world still does not understand us. So if you really want to join us, then you need to stop, listen, and listen again, and then ask questions to get a better understanding of us. And once you feel as though you understand us, you got to go back and listen some more because chances are that you missed something while listening. And I'm not saying this as an attack, as I'm saying this because, like, how can you help us if you don't understand us? And understanding has nothing to do with knowing the words to Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. This has nothing to do with how many times you've been to a Black Lives Matter protest. This is about respecting us enough to understand our culture the way we understand yours. Now, we've had to learn and study white culture out of survival, and I'm just asking you to choose to listen and learn about us. Choose to learn about us. And both you and your friends can do so by listening to the BossLocks podcast, available at your convenience on all major streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and even Pandora. Plus, each month we're advancing to a bunch of other platforms. But I'm going to say this again, and I'm really not trying to be rude or sound petty. Listening is very important. I think a lot of you, if you're already listening, you have been listening. So I'll give you a little round of applause for that. But listening it never ends. You know, to be honest with you, I don't always feel comfortable talking about race, specifically with white people. I haven't really brought this up before, but many of you know I started working on this in 2017, but I didn't launch until 2020. And part of that was not feeling like I could be the person to discuss race with white people. Um, and it's a challenge of mine. Like, even after launching, there was a few moments where I was having discussions with people, and it was just like I just felt super uncomfortable. And I mean, y'all may not realize it, but if someone comes to me and asks me a question about race, my mind immediately begins racing because, one, I don't know where to begin. Like, a lot of people, they refer back to slavery times, but didn't start there. It and it's just evolved. Like, honestly, there's so many things to that come to my mind before I can even begin. I don't know why. For starters, like, of course, I don't know where to begin. I don't know why you want to talk to me. I don't know what your motives are. Like, are you talking to me because you want clarity? Do you want me to put your white guilt at ease? Or are you trying to ask me if I hate white people? So I'll just say this, white people, regardless of how you may feel when listening to the show, I do not hate you. I do only have Black people on as guests, and that will not change. But there will be spaces for you to exist. It just may not look the same, but one of those being the BossLocks Village that you can join for as little as $2 a month to support this show and be invited to any private discussions and rooms that I host. Of course, like I mentioned before, I do host like rooms exclusively for Black people, but I will this year be the year begin hosting some rooms. I'll call them the inclusive rooms, where everyone could come and speak, listen, unlearn, and learn, and build and grow together. Um, but it all starts right here, and there are platforms already there for you. For one, on I'm active on all the major social platforms, primarily Instagram and Facebook. Not only allow Black people into the Working Well Black Facebook group, because that is a space where we are growing amongst ourselves, but I do host live shows on the main Facebook page and YouTube that you can join and participate in. Lastly, for everyone listening, you could do as Jill did and send in a voice message at bosslocks.org/contact, or just go to our contact page when you get to the site. And if you have a question or comment, you could write it in or leave a voicemail, and it could end up on the show, just like Jill's did. Um, Speaking of Jill, back to you. Let me officially answer your question, but let me do something different and answer it with a challenge. Um, Matter of fact, we're gonna make it super official and name it the Boss Locks Challenge. So here's the thing. Okay, Jill and everybody listening, I challenge you to go back through the episodes and listen to what was being said, and try to connect to the emotion behind the words. Try to identify what's not being said. And once you do that, I want you to pick an episode that you really connected with, and I want you to share it with one of your white friends. um, if you're white, specifically share with one of your white friends. If you're not, share it with anyone. But don't just be like, "Hey, here's a show that you should check out." I really want you to explain to them what that particular episode meant to you. Some of the things you learned from it. I want you to talk about it and really be like, "Yes, this is a show you need to listen to." And that may sound small, but I honestly believe that the stories and perspectives that my guests are sharing can help people to begin to understand us. And that is huge, because once you understand us, then we can stop wasting our time trying to help people understand the meaning behind Black Lives Matter. Once you understand us, you'll realize that saying you love Dr. King is nice, but it doesn't change my perspective of you. And once you understand us, you'll see why saying things like "I don't see color" is very insulting. Once you understand and respect us, you can join us, but only if you're invited. So, on that note, I want to thank you all for joining me today, and also let you know that we're dropping an interview next week from a retired police chief. And we went deep on that one. So, stay tuned. And I want to invite you all to join, follow, and subscribe everywhere that BossLocks is present. You can click the link in the description to learn more about BossLocks, where we are, and how to support us. But thank you all. And I mean that sincerely. This is still the beginning of this journey for me, and I am truly honored that you all are here to join this movement with me. It truly will does. It takes a village, a global village, and I'm just honored we're all here together to be on that village, all coming together to listen and understand, and hear Black voices. And I'm not stopping. I've been busy getting a lot of interviews in, and I just really can't wait to release them over the next few months. So thank you all for joining. Thank you for your patience. Thanks for listening. Thanks for reaching out to asking questions. Please don't stop. Anything you have been doing, just keep doing it. Thank you all. And I cannot wait to speak to you. I can't wait to speak to you, hear from you, see you after COVID, of course. But I just can't wait to have all these rooms, these ideas, roll them out. But for now, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And I'll speak to you soon.